is if we look at week 12 sweep picking, or just the sweep picking doc here. We're going to start easy, and it's going to get like a little bit difficult. Now, I don't want to go fast with these. This is just like everything else, just like art. It's important to do those nice and easy and light, and make sure each one of the notes comes through, not right trying to speed through it. This is the same thing. We're just going to go through a couple of the sweep pickings. The idea with these forms and sweep picking in general is we're sweeping through the strings, right? Rather than picking each string individually. So if I just look at that first minor 7, the red notes are the root notes. It's just an E minor, all right? Bar chord. And then I have that 9, 8, 7 on those bottom 3 strings. I'm going to go downward with those. Just now, the technique is not to let them blend. Of course you can. But the general technique of sweep picking is not to let those blend. So you're sort of cutting them off as I go to the next one. And then the up pick is on the 10 with a pull off back to 8, 9. Right? And then if you're using that, if you're going up and down, it sort of becomes down, 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 up, pull off, up, down, down. Now that, because you're not gonna hit that twice, that root note twice, that becomes like sort of an up at that point. So if you're just doing it one time, it's down, 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 up, right? Or right, and then that's your root note, flat 3, 5, and that's where your flat 7 is. That's why it's a minor 7. Another form really, really close is if I am in like an A minor blues, right? That's my root note. If I want to build a minor, like a D minor shape, right? 9, 10, 8, and this doesn't have a flat 7 in it. 9, 10, 8 up to the 12, and that's going to be the same thing. Right? So try that, right? Same idea. Those are the 3 note ones that we're going to start with for now. You can make that a major. I don't have it here, but you can make that a major just by making it almost like the first of Jessica, 9, 10, 9. Right? You know what's funny is I tend to blend that one. I tend to blend that voicing where this one, I tend to cut them off a little bit more. Now I can take that E minor. Let me get a little closer for this one. There's a little bit more happening here, and I want to get really close because, especially for this 3rd finger technique. So I have a hammer on. So I'm gonna move down, like my right hand is just down pick, stopping there, and then I have a 9, 9. So, and I'm gonna do a roll there. So hammer, 9, 9, 8, 7, and then my pull off here, up, pull off, back, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of a roll here. And you can either pick those last 2 or do a pull off. I have it marked as a pull off. The reason is because some people will do that, and now I'm above the A string, right? Whether I do a pull off or not, right? It's not adding any more time, and then that'll just get me ready to be able to do it again. So the 3rd finger roll is the strange part, right? You have hammer, right? And then you have 3rd finger, then 3rd finger down, then 8, 7, and then we're going up, pull off. If I do a hammer on there, or a pull off there, I'm sorry. So try that, and then again, we're going nice and slow to get it really clean. So that's picking the last note into the first note, because that 7 is the last note, but also the first note of the next round if I'm going to continually do it. I do it once, right, that works. If I want to practice this in sort of a rotation, if I do it, right now I'm sort of doing a pull off and then a hammer, right? Because that ending pull off gives me that 7 and I don't want to hit it again. And I have a hammer into the first 10, right? So that's how it would happen if you're going nice and slow. So that's why if you're doing it in a round, you know, like constantly, I would do it with ending that pull off, ending without that pull off, right? And picking that 7 to get the hammer on into the next round. Or if you're just doing it one time, you can end it with the pull off. So that just gives you a fuller movement, right? Practicing nice and slowly before like speeding that up, you know. And that 7 and that 9 that you can see are the root notes. Root, flat 3, 5, root, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and back down again. Another minor, if I'm in A, I really like this one. 12, 10, 9, all down, 12, 10, 9, 10, and then I have my 8, 12, 8. That's just sort of finishing this one, right? Again, nice and slowly, maybe just trying it a down up. Right, and that's just like that A minor. What I really like about that particular one too is this, if I'm playing in an A minor pentatonic, it sort of gives me the full outline in that gray area before I can get up here, right? Which is why I really like form. It kind of shows me like really where that gray area is. And then next one, it goes back. It's sort of like this version, right? But we're gonna do it in B minor. All right, I'm gonna get closer to this. He'll have that same third finger technique. We can really see this in that B minor bar chord, or you know my B minor pentatonic. And then I've got the hammer on, right? Roll that third finger down, 9, 9. Now it's all first finger, 7, 7, 7. Now I'm down on my way up. Pull off the 10. 7, 7, right? And then 9, 9, that same roll. And then 10, pull off the 7. If you're going to do it once, you know, this is going to have the same thing where it's like, am I going to want to start? I don't want to hit that 7 2 times. There's no rules. I just mean if you're going to be practicing this, you know, sort of like up and down, right? So, right, nice sound. And of course I picked those last two if I were going to continue. That would be how I would do it. It does also give me a little bit of a cheat, right? I could do like, this will happen, you know, sort of like down, down, down to that 7, and then a hammer on, right? Or even the other way. Just that part of that, like, you know, sort of in a blues, or I think I actually even did it in one of the examples that I played. So, you know, cool way to deliver that B minor, arpeggio, or any arpeggio, and sweep picking that's you know, starting on that is the root. The next one, the dominant one, it's the same as the, right, especially because I do have the flat 7 in there. So if I want to make it dominant, this is going to be a little bit more strange. But if I do want that dominant, the bottom string is going to be a little bit more interesting. So how I would do it is a hammer on 7 to 11. Right, my third finger gets a little chunky there. Right, that third finger. You know, try that one. That one is a little bit more difficult, I think, because if I get my third finger in there, that sets me up really nicely here. And then on, like, for my first finger, my pinky, then on my way back, right, it gets a little tricky, I think, there. If I try it with my middle finger, that sets it up a little nicer here. But then I'm going to want to use my third finger maybe for that pull off, and that's going to get me in a weird position, right? Because if I'm getting down there with my second finger, then I'm going to have to go back a little bit to get my pinky for that flat. If I make for that flat 7 there, right? If I were to make this a major 7, which means the bottom note would be an 11, right, rather than a 10, I might do my second finger because now I'm in just that position, right? So that one could be a little bit tricky. If you just take that top note, that top 10, and move it up to an 11, something else to practice, that'll be your major 7, right? 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, major 7, right? So you can give that one a try. That one has one's a little bit more of a difficult position. The next one, I'm going to get nice and close here again. This is basically just, to be honest, it's just your C form. The C in cage system, right? The C shape goes up the triad. So what I mean by that is if I take my E shape right here, right on D, that's a 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. I'm skipping that first 3, something we had gone over before. But in this shape, I'm in A here, right? If I have my C shape, it's 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, and then I can add that last 12 there for my 5. So we're right up that triad. So if I want to do that, and then in that one, you're going to go, when you get to that last 12, will be like an up, and then you're going to go down on the next 11. So, right, if that's the pattern that you're sort of going to focus on. And that's great, because it works like anywhere, just on that C shape, and it's really obvious, what's happening there. We can really see it, and it's easy, right, to get those roll off so each note doesn't blend into the next, which is also a really cool sound. Again, practice nice and slowly. Okay, the next one is just going to be that C form, right, that we were doing before, but instead of 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, I'm going to do 1, 3, 5, 7, which is going to give me another hammer on there, right, 7 to the root note, and then 3 on the way back up, pull off, 5 to 3, and then I'm just going to pick the root note here, right, root note to 7, and then 5, 3, 1. Okay, so that double, that hammer on and then double pull off can make it a little bit more difficult, right? If we go nice and slow. Right, practicing that nice and easy. Right, I do obviously roll and bar there as much as I can. Right here, roll down, still rolling down. I'm covering all 3 of those strings. Pull off, still rolling down, pull off. Now I'm roll off, 3, and then my root note, right? Give that one a shot. There's a lot more, again, slow to a metronome. This is like really, really nice methodical practice, but that's what you're gonna do if, for the major 7, or any C, obviously this is just A, but in this particular one, but any one. And then same thing, if I want to make it dominant, now the hammer on is going to change, right? It's 1, 3, 5, the hammer on to my flat 7 on that 12, right? And then I have the bottom part, so I'm looking at that first measure of the bottom line. Right, so 1, 3, 5, hammer flat 7, root 3, 5, pull off, root, and then flat 7 to 5. Right, a lot more going on there. Right, again, a lovely thing to do, and like over a dominant. What is really cool then is if we take those, these ideas, and now I'm looking at that bottom line, if I was sort of doing like that progression of like A minor to G, right? This is week 11, I believe. Right, what's really cool is I can have those shapes, and let's say I'm playing a guitar solo and I'm getting close to beats 3 and 4, right? The second half of the measure of A, to when I get there, that A minor, right? And then I'm going to slide that back to the 10 and do a pull off and go down G major. Same thing, I can like start there, go down to the F, right? So that's a cool way to play over the bar line with an arpeggio, but it's also a great exercise in this case, right? Right, and we're keeping those pull-offs where they would normally be, which is really cool about that exercise. So that's a really cool one to do. And then, throwing those in, like I was saying, like, right, to your solo, to play over the bar line, or as we were talking about, introducing the chord before it happens. There's another creative way to do this kind of thing, is going up one arpeggio and coming down another, or doing something like, even for that maybe that F to E, right? 1, 3, then going up the E there, right? Because it's the same arpeggio, right? It's still 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. I'm just bringing it down a half step to go from the F to the E chord, right? Right? Might be another fun way to play it. So that's a really cool exercise to sort of get through and get your fingers really really used to that sort of a thing. And the very last one is just an example of integrating two that are different style or different positions. What I mean by that is, if I go up that A minor, I get to my root note. When I go down, now I'm on the third of my, like, an E7. So now I'm integrating this A minor form, right, with this E7, right, that E7 bar chord in generally the same position, rather than, the example of going up an F and just bringing it down a half step, but it being the same form, being the A form, So now we're looking at ways to integrate two at the same time, while doing a sweep, and of course, the further you get along in your playing, right, the more creative you can get, and that just goes back to even just like the cage system and figuring out these as sevens, but the A minor part of that cage system, right, and then my E7, part of the cage system too. I've got my E7 right there, right, however I want to think of it that way. So looking at these things in a multitude of ways. I play a lot of acoustic, so I don't do it that much, but my buddies that are a little bit more on the metal side do, and it's definitely a cool sound. Nice. Those are just all of those great to practice through,